Who's got the first question? Hands up, thanks. Mark and Alvin.
Steve, when we were there, we didn't see Rivalry training this morning. Is there any issue?
No, there's no issue, but, and you're right, you didn't see him train because he was in the gym on the bike. So he got a tight calf out of the game the other day, so we just weren't prepared to put him on the track today on a wet track.
Confident though this is not going to be an issue come?
Yep. 100%.
Who's next?
Maddie's. Yeah, his shoulder's making good progress, but not fast enough, so he won't be available. But he should be right if we're lucky enough to play another game next week.
It's easy to make a decision moving on.
Yep.
Yep, John.
What's going on with this mic, Joe? Is this...
Well, we've got plenty of people in the room, Steve, so let's give everyone a chance.
All right.
There you go, John.
Yeah, what was it like training in the elements this morning? Pretty windy, pretty rainy. Expecting kind of those conditions this weekend?
I was meant to get finer later in the week and then possibly a bit of light drizzle, but yeah, it is what it is, isn't it? Just put the floppy hat on, keep your head warm and put your coat on and try and stay dry and get into your work.
And you're confident you can play your style of rugby that you played against Ireland in those conditions?
I'm comfortable that we can play whatever we need to play, regardless of the conditions,
Yeah, Mark.
Steve, your old mate Eddie's opened the week by declaring you the greatest team in the history of sport. What's your reaction to that?
yeah. Oh, that's a really nice statement. And I wouldn't doubt that he believes that, but he's probably also been quite kind to us at the same time. So, you know, as I said on Sunday, like history is history, and it's about creating new history, and both teams are going to go at each other on Saturday, and you know that game won't define either team, but it will give one team an opportunity to go through and play for the final. So that's where everyone's concentration is, and I just know there's a lot of respect you know, between two teams and the two coaches.
We'll go Ian and Nick.
Steve, the Cricket World Cup final was decided by a champagne super over. What are the prospects, do you think, of this semi-final being decided by a kicking contest, and have you prepared for that?
Look, I think it's unlikely that it'll be decided by that. Have we prepared for it? Well, we know that that's the rule, so yes would be the answer to that question. It'd be foolish if you didn't prepare for it, but I'd be highly surprised that after 80 minutes and then an extra 10 minutes each way and then another 10 minutes, that by that stage there'll be bugger all people standing, that someone hasn't scored some points. So, but you know, funnier things have happened, haven't they? So,
They said about the cricket.
that's right. Yeah, I don't know if they got the cricket one right, really.
Steve, is there such a thing as pressure, and if so, how does it manifest itself? Do you feel it? Do you feel it? Negative?
Well, the simple answer to your first part of that question is a thing called pressure. Of course there is. You know, we feel it every day in our own lives. Different things cause us to feel it. You're playing in the semi-final of a Rugby World Cup. There's definitely going to be pressure on both sides, and the key thing is how you manage it. You crack that nut, you give yourself an opportunity to play well. If you don't crack it, then you know you can go inwardly and get tight and miss the opportunities that are going to be there.
Steve, how far do you think both teams have advanced since their test match last November?
Oh, a long way. Yeah, long way. I think England had a lot of players injured. We're still battling from the long season that their Lions players had. So they had injuries left, right and centre. And, you know, we ever since Argentina's been brought into the Rugby Championship, the travel just got insane. And, you know, our last 9 weeks we go around the world twice. play 7 test matches and have about 15 time changes. So, by the time we get to November, we're struggling. And we got through that game and ditched the next one. So, we've changed how we've played a fair bit. I think England have too. Yeah, so it's part of history, but I don't think it'll have too much to do with what's going to happen on Saturday.
Yep, down the back.
Steve, historically, your big rivalry would be with South Africa. Can you just give us a sense of where that New Zealand-England rivalry sits in the Nigeria context?
Look, I think South Africa is always going to be our biggest rival because of all the history that comes with it and just the nature of the fact that we play each other so regularly. I think we've played England once in the last 6 years. So it's hard to build a rivalry when you don't play each other. But if we could get the Six Nations to come on board with a global season, we'd be able to do that. But, once they do that, then they're starting to think about the game rather than themselves. Here's a headline for you.
Joe, where you go?
You talked about the importance of the reset. How do you think you guys will win?
How are we going with it? Yeah, pretty good, I think. Yeah. I mean, like this week's different than last week. Last week we hadn't played, so it's a matter of making sure that the tank that was full doesn't get emptied by getting too excited. This week you come off a game and your tank is empty. You don't get performances like both England and we did against the respective oppositions without emptying your tank. So then it's about being smart through the week and making sure that you rebuild and get clarity about your game and deal with the stuff that you have to deal with and then arrive on Saturday really humming.
Yep, second row.
Hello, Steve. George Bridge played the 2 big games in this World Cup. Can you tell me what convinced you to put him on the starting 15 and not Rico many tries for New Zealand? And is it an example for the other players that there is no privilege in this team and you have to be on the top form every time?
You just about answered that one yourself, I reckon. Form's really important. Once you select the team, you can when you're selecting the team, the squad, you've got a little bit of wriggle room for guys that are new and a little bit of wriggle room for guys that are older players. Now Rico, been a fabulous player, still is a fabulous player. So he gets in. Tick. You got George Bridge, who played fabulously well during the Super season. Had one game for the All Blacks in Japan the year before. Played very well there. So you bring them together and then you give them opportunities and the guy that plays the best gets picked. And George has been playing, in our opinion, the best. So he gets the tick ahead of Rico, and I guess it's a luxury when you can do that because Rico Gear is a super rugby player.
We'll go Matt, Mark and then Stutch.
Steve, how would you sum up the different styles that the All Blacks in England are playing at the moment?
I don't think they're that different, really. I think England would say that they can tuck the ball up their jersey and do that game, and they'd say that they can run it. Like I think if you look at the pre-season game against Ireland, they certainly moved the ball around that day, and they've got a good kicking game. We think we can match it with most forward packs if we have to. We've done it over the years. I don't think our forward pack gets the credit for that as much as it probably should, because it's overridden by the other stuff they do and the other stuff that we do as a team. Like we want to run with the ball. We've got a pretty good kicking game too, so I think both teams are well equipped to play whatever game they want to play.
You think if you put pressure on, they'll go back to a certain style?
They'll go to the plan they've got, and our job will be to try and put doubt in their heads about their plan, and the same will be for them. They'll try and come at us and put doubt about our plan. So it's about learning as we go in the game as well, and that's part of what rugby's about, isn't it? The quicker you can learn and adapt in the, not only off the field after the game, but it's on the park and in the heat of the moment.
Yep, Mark.
Steve, no doubt you had a chance to have a good look at England's performance of the weekend. What impressed you most about the way they're able to, I guess, absorb so much pressure and put the Aussies away so easily?
Well, they took all the opportunities. Some of them were given to them, but you've still got to take them. They didn't have a lot of possession, but they had a big high scoreboard. And people are making a big deal about the possession, but when you score, you don't normally have a lot of possession, do you? Because you kick the goal and then run back, and they've got to kick off, and so your time with the ball is probably less. I just keep repeating they're a good side, so it's going to be a mighty clash.
Stash.
Steve, the last World Cup, a lot of the players are attacking all four Southern Hemisphere teams in the semi-finals. That's more talent. Was that an anomaly last time?
Well, Scotland should have made it last time, apart from our era. So I think Ireland were unlucky last time too. They had a lot of injuries, after their last pool game, and England, would be desperately disappointed with how they went. And Wales, lost a nail biter. So I don't know if it's an anomaly. It's just the fact, isn't it? And the inconvenient fact is they didn't make it, but I think that's what's made them go away and improve, or not so much improve, but think about how they play the game and what they want from their rugby. And they've come back over the last 4 years, haven't they? And all those home nation teams have played really good rugby. Two of them have been number one team in the world over the last month or so, and two of them are now in the final four. So they've made some great improvements.
I'll go Nick and then Liam.
Steve, what have you made of John Mitchell's success in England, and what sort of attitude do you think he'll instill in defence?
Look, he's joined the team, and England are going well and they're defending well, so you'd have to say he's doing a good job. Outside of that, unless you're in there, I wouldn't have a clue. His attitude though will be, I'm sure, the same as the attitude we've got. Though he'll want to win, and he'll be doing whatever he can during the week to make sure that he's done his study and his homework and created an environment that those players that he's coaching can go out and launch from. But it's really hard to talk about questions like that unless you're in the environment yourself, because we all do things subtly different. And I really don't know Mitch that well. I know him well enough to have a beer with, but I don't know much about his coaching because I've never been part of his coaching team, nor has he been part of mine. So he's been offshore from New Zealand for a long time now too, but Eddie obviously has a lot of time for him, and he's doing England are playing well, they're defending really well, so he must be doing a good job.
I'll go Kareem and then Paddy and then back to Mick.
Steve, your group is composed with very experienced players, very somewhat and very fresh men. Is it a preconceived intention or adaptation to the circumstances?
Oh, it's always handy to have a new guy on the block, and it's always handy to have an old guy. So 215, everyone told us we had too many old blokes. So I thought I'd change it so we didn't have to have that headline every week. Seriously though, it's probably just the way the cards have fallen. We've got guys who haven't been around a long time but have had great big moment experiences playing for the Crusaders, because a lot of the guys that are young have come from there. They're playing extremely well. We've given them an opportunity here and they're playing well. And experience isn't always just about how many test caps you've had.
Paddy.
Look, they could come up with any combination depending on how they want to play the game. So without knowing how they want to play the game against us, it's difficult. But you've got to assume that they could bring George Ford back. Plan for that. You've got to plan for the fact that they don't. Through the Six Nations, he mixed it up a bit there too. So, and in this tournament he's mixed it up. So you just have to obviously think that he's going to do it again. But at this time of the week, you really, you've done your homework on how England are going to play, whether who's at 10 doesn't really matter. Who's at 7-5-8 doesn't really matter. They've got a style that they have, a blueprint, as do we, regardless of who you put in the numbers 1 to 23. And then the key thing then is making sure that your guys have got total clarity on that style that you want to play, and the little nuances that you want to add into your game because you're playing England versus how you want to play against Ireland, Wales, South Africa, whoever. And so a lot of the focus is really on yourselves.
Rusty, we'll wrap up with a couple of questions from Japanese.
So, Steve-san,
Rusty-san?
your opinion of Japan in the tournament and how that's gone?
Very good question, Rusty-san. Japan have been outstanding. And I think, after the game the other night, you could actually see visibly how much it meant to them. Emotionally, they were spent. And I think that's a great sign for rugby in Japan, because I think people in Japan respect that they gave everything they had. Just on the night, South Africa were a little better. I don't think the scoreline was probably a true reflection, but sport can do that sometimes. It can blow out. But you can ask a lot of people about what is success, and they'll all come up with different answers. But for me, success is not always about winning. Success is about giving your best. And they gave their best, and they're now number 6, I think, in the world. And what more could you ask from them? I think they've given everything they could, and so they're a huge success story of the tournament.
Thanks, everyone. We'll wrap it up there. The 2 players will get shortly. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day. Konnichiwa.